Hi, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the use of language and social language skills for you as the parent in working with your kids. And this is really important piece of the program, especially as you start heading out of the first 30 days where our language is mostly the mantras and being very clear and directive. But even in those 30 days, like, we're still working on these things. And it's super important because most of the kids that we're talking about do have problems with their processing and language skills, and what they're hearing and what you're saying are not matching up. And so we work really hard with you the first few weeks, especially to stop talking so much, to not lecture, to be very clear, to not ask your children to do things but be very directive, and that things come from you as the parent, that you're in charge. And it puts you in this place of being in charge, and kids learning to answer with yes mom, yes dad, helps them, gets them set up for learning how to give good responses to other adults in their lives. And later on, of course, we know that that's going to transfer to them having bosses or other people that they need to have a relationship with, where they have to follow directions and things like that. So that is kind of the early piece of what we're talking about. But in the beginning also, one of the things that we talk about is not threatening or bribing kids to do things. We're also not just distracting them when they kind of reach these hard places. We're using our language skills to really help them to do what we're telling them to do. So, a threat and a bribe kind of come from the same place. It's very easy to get into a power struggle. And bribes especially can be a slippery slope, and backfire really quickly, just as threats can. So when we direct a child to do something, we are with the expectation as the adult that we are going to follow through on helping them to do that, or knowing that we're directing them to do something that they are going to do. So if you're telling your child to come to you and they choose not to come to you, that you have the action to do it. You're not threatening them. You're not saying you come here, or I'm gonna have to come get you, or anything like that. We're just saying to come here, but we're already in our minds, hopefully we've worked with you enough that you are going to the child and then going to bring them to that spot or help them go to what you were asking them to do. We like to say one and done. So we ask these things of the kids one time, and then we follow through and help them to do it. So if you're doing connecting time with the child, Calm +5 or safety hold, you can't tell the child to do something in a demanding, threatening type way, like you stop crying or we're going to be here forever, kind of thing. We can give them direction. We can tell them you need to get your body calm, because that's what we're waiting for. I'm waiting for you to get your body calm is kind of the other part of that. So that's it's got to really first be different in your mind. You got to know what you're saying. I've seen it both ways, where you're doing a safety hold and we're demanding the child to stop doing something, but at the same time we need to have the way to do it. We cannot make a child stop talking or stop crying. We're not threatening them, but we can give them that assurance, like, I'm here for you. When you're done crying, then I'll start the timer. So it's kind of using that kind of language and just being aware of what you're actually saying. You can say, like, if the child's pinching you, stop pinching, but know that you may be holding their hands or doing something to stop that from happening, not just demanding that they do it and then waiting to see how many more times they do it before you get upset enough to do something. So it's coming around it, being very in front of it, and having that mindset that I'm going to be kind of one and done with it. That explains a little bit about threats and bribes a little bit, but I also want to talk more about incentives and the way that we use choices, because I think that makes it a little bit more clear too. So in my mind, as we start moving through the program and we have more compliance and kids are doing things, and we have gotten used to when I say something, the kids are listening, they're giving a good response, and then we're following through with whatever it was that they gave a good response. Because you'll find after the kids get good at giving the good responses, like yes mom, yes dad, that they kind of slide a little bit, and then they start doing the responses because it's become more automatic, but they don't necessarily do what they actually were told to do. So they'll say yes mom, it's kind of lip service, but they aren't actually doing it. So we kind of will watch for that and help you see, like, get up, go with them, make sure they're following through. We shouldn't have to ask or tell more than once. Like, we're not yelling at them, reaching the point where we yell at them and then they do it. We want them to listen and to follow through and do what we said. So once we kind of get through that, then we start talking a little bit more about kids being able to have some choices, and these are very limited. These are early on, it's like the choices are, listen, you can get up and do this, or I will help you get up and do this. That's the choice. So you can walk down the hall and with me, but if you can't do that without bothering your brother, then we will walk down the hall and you will hold my hand. You choose. You're gonna hold my hand, or you're gonna be able to walk down the hall. So they're very limited choices. We're still gonna kind of move into more limited choices, but it may look more like, first we're going to do this and then we're gonna do that. So I use a lot of first and then, and the choices are maybe, you can wear the red shirt or the blue shirt. If you haven't worked well through the first part of the program, your kids are gonna always choose the yellow shirt. The choices were red or blue, they're gonna want the yellow shirt or the green shirt, whichever shirt you didn't say. So we wanna make sure if that's what they're doing, that we haven't really come through the first 30 days correctly. And it's okay to kind of experiment, but just don't give in. We're not gonna give in. I said you could have the blue or the red. What's it gonna be? And you're gonna wait that out. You're not gonna, give in or threaten or say, if you wear the blue shirt, then I'm gonna give you this or that. It's not that kind of incentive. It says these are the choices. I said the red or the blue. So really stay on that. We're looking for them to follow through and for you to follow through really 100%, because when we start we start kind of doing more life things, then we want to make sure that we have that compliance there. So the other part about bribes and threats is they usually happen in the moment, right? So the kid is going to throw a fit. If you don't throw the fit, then we'll get ice cream. That kind of happens in the moment, where an incentive is set up ahead of time. So it's setting up the expectation. We're going to go for a walk, and if everything goes well on this walk, then the plan is that we will go pick out a treat at the candy store. I'm not recommending ice cream and candy, but this is just what's coming to my mind right now. So if that's the plan, then let the kids know, like, this is the plan, but also let them know that if things don't go well, if somebody starts fighting or somebody's not listening, then we will have to just go home, and we won't be able to do that today. So when you set it up ahead of time, it's not a threat or a bribe, it's the incentive. It's kind of like, it's not a threat or a bribe that you get a paycheck when you work. You know that that's the agreement. I'm gonna work this many hours, I'm gonna get paid this amount. This is all agreed ahead of time. So that's kind of what you're doing for your kids. You're saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is what is gonna be kind of the payoff. So if you're running errands, it might be, we're gonna do 3 errands, we're gonna do these 3 things, and when we're done, if all goes well, then we're gonna go home and go swimming. Something like that. If it doesn't go well, we might have to leave the store early. That means we're gonna have to go home and just be calm and not do this activity. It may mean that we leave the store and we don't get to finish what we were gonna do. And so, it changes the plans, so then you need to be ready with what you're going to do if the plans are gonna change. Because honestly, we don't know. On any given day, one or all of the kids can decide that they're not gonna go with the plan. And so we need to have kind of that backup piece of that. I think it's very, very important to set that stage before you do these things. As the kids get older and more mature and start kind of growing into this, you'll see those times when they're not sure what's going to happen, that you still have to set the parameters of what's going to happen. But right now, my guess is that if you're watching this video, that you need to do a better job at really preparing the kids for what's going to happen. And they need to know what you're willing to do. Like, you start throwing a fit in the store, or you ask more than 3 times for something, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. We're going to go out to the car and then we'll go home. And you know, it usually doesn't take very many times, once, maybe twice, of having to leave a cart full of stuff and leave the store. And I'm saying, if you're there with your 3 kids or your 5 kids like I had, and one child is the one, it's everybody. We're in this together. And you don't have to make a big deal about it, like, oh, Johnny was so bad, so now we can't do this. And that is more shame and is kind of counterproductive to setting the incentive. It's like, we said that we were going to do this as a group, and if it doesn't happen, then as a group, this is what's going to happen. So it's not about rewarding one and punishing the other. That gets more into bribes and threats. This is what we've decided as a group. This is family time, and this is what we're doing. So I hope that makes some things a little bit clearer about that. There are a lot more things about social language that I would like to share in some further videos. So stay tuned, and hopefully this will be helpful.